7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show. You're tuned in to the hottest sports radio.
When you need your warehouse looking good while staying efficient, there's only one place to find the finest racks in the business. Pallet Rack City in Hialeah. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547. Pallet Rack City is the company you need when you want your warehouse sporting the finest racks in the business. After all, who doesn't love a great rack? Pallet Rack City. 305-424-8547. That's 305-424-8547.
Orlando, a.k.a. the Big O. He covers all the South Florida teams.
For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
To a very crappy post-game show as the Miami Dolphins unfortunately lose badly, embarrassingly, incredibly, in a stupid fashion to the Tennessee Titans. The coaching staff did not show up. The defense did not show up. We told you at the beginning of the game and the pregame that you cannot allow the Titans to run the ball, and they made Foreman look like Derrick Henry. And Tua also played absolutely terrible today. You cannot win a game when no one shows up to play the game. And let me tell you something. I'm not going to make any excuses for Tua. I'm not going to make any excuses for the defense today. But I am going to tell you, and what I've been telling you now for the last couple of months, Brian Flores is nothing, okay? He's absolutely nothing. He's just a guy that looks kind of tough, talks a lot of tough crap, but he is not organized. He cannot put together a staff. He cannot actually, in-game, challenge anything whatsoever. And I'm not talking about a challenge flag. I'm just talking about changing things in the game defensively. Look, let me explain something to you, okay? There is no way you're ever going to succeed. They're watching the end of the Cincinnati-Kansas City game, which has been an amazing game today. But in the first half, this is how I want you to look at it, okay? Because in the first half, it's 17-3. It's still somewhat salvageable at that point. But I want you to see the first half. Miami, 3rd and 10, Miami 48. 39, Miami 34. 3rd and 10, Miami 14. 3rd and 10, Tennessee 27. 3rd and 9, Miami 26. 3rd and 10, Tennessee 46. You want to see the third downs for Tennessee in the first half? 3rd and 10 from the Tennessee 30. 3rd and 1 from the Tennessee 47. 3rd and 6 from the Miami 10. 3rd and 2 from the Miami 26. 3rd and 7 from the Miami 42. And 3rd and 1 from the Tennessee 34. My point is that they were smart. They ran the football. They made the downs manageable. Tannehill was nothing today. 13 of 18, 120 yards, and 2 touchdowns. The guy did not do much today. He only had to make a couple of passes. What did I tell you at the beginning of the show? They're going to try to make life easy for Tannehill because that's the only way they can win games. He's not going to carry them. So you can't allow Foreman to run. What did I tell you in the pregame, right? I told you in the pregame, Foreman last week stunk it out with 17 yards. The week before, he was 108 against Pittsburgh. The week before, Jacksonville, 47. The week before, New England, 109. Good game, bad game, good game, bad game. Was this the good game? And it was. I mean, it was. 132 yards on the ground for Donta Foreman. I mean, you can't be called a defense that is going to be really good if you can't show up and you get punched in the mouth like they did. They got handled. This is a terrible coaching staff. They started calling trick plays in desperate situations. There was a challenge that Flo could have had on a fumble. And by the way, go look at this at the stats. They scored it as a recovered fumble from Tennessee. So it wasn't whistled dead or anything. And clearly you could have challenged it. And he didn't even challenge it. And this guy loses challenges all the time. Now you had a clear opportunity at winning a challenge, and you didn't challenge it. Look, man, I'm a Tua believer. Still am a Tua believer. I know you can win with the kid, but you can't win with this coaching staff. And I think I've been pretty consistent about this for many, many weeks now. I've told you, Flo's not the guy. Flo can't build a coaching staff. He is a terrible in-game coach. These players have won in spite of him, in spite of his terrible staff. And the one thing that he knows doesn't even show up today: defense. I mean, what is Gesicki? You're running flea flickers with Gesicki? I mean, come on, dude. Please. This is a joke. That's what I thought I was. When I saw that, I thought I was watching a comedy hour at that point. Flo has got to go. And I'll tell you this. And this message goes out to Chris Greer and his staff. You guys have done a marvelous job with personnel. You didn't do a good job getting a coach now. Okay, so you can pick personnel. Now go find a coach. And go get yourself a veteran coach, okay, that can build a staff and actually have a competent staff, not a bunch of high school and college coaches that have little to zero experience in the NFL. And that's what you're going to actually have going up against Mike Vrabel and his staff on game day. Mike Vrabel ate Flo up for lunch. He chewed him up and he spit him out. And let me tell you, Flo has got to know that they were going to feed him a lot of Foreman, a lot of the running game, because they know, and we know, most of us with a brain, that if you put the game on Tannehill, you can beat him easily. But what'd you do? You put it on the Tennessee defense, on the Tennessee running game, and all you ask Tannehill is to make a couple of passes. He can do that. He can make a couple of passes for you. He can't be a difference maker, but he can actually be at least a competent game manager for you. That's all you needed today. A game manager that made a couple of plays. Flo should be fired for losing to Tannehill and this team. I know it's not going to happen, and I know some of you out there, I've already dealt with this for so many months now. You're all so suckered on this whole thing, thinking that Flo is something special and all that. Hey, man, You get suckered sometimes. I got suckered. Have a good one. Hang in there. Hang in there. You know, we all get suckered sometimes. I thought he was a good coach too. I was wrong. That's all, but at least I'm willing to admit when I'm wrong. I'm not going to go like some of you out there, oh my God, no, I can't change coaches again. No, you can't keep a bad coach around. And he's a bad coach. What the Dolphins did during this 7-game streak is nothing different than what they've done for 20 years. They're always better than the really shitty teams, and they're never as good as the playoff teams. They're stuck in the middle. You know, I did that video several years ago about being stuck in the middle. Nothing's changed. Nothing has changed. And today proved it once again that nothing has changed. This coaching staff does not deserve to move forward. You've done 3 years, and in 3 years he has proven he cannot find an offensive staff. And in the end, defensively, when you needed him most, his defense didn't come up with the game they needed to come up with. And it wasn't Derrick Henry. It was Donta Foreman that ended your season by running for 132 yards on your head. Okay? And look, the referees were terrible today. Tannehill was offsides. They were holding Devontae Parker. They didn't call that fumble that clearly Agba recovered. I know the referees sucked today. I get all of that. Okay? I'm with you 100% on that. But I'm not using losers talk now and saying, well, I blame the referees for this loss. No, I blame Brian Flores, the defense, and Tua for this loss, especially the coaching staff. Because the coaching staff didn't know how to complement its own players, didn't know how to prepare its players. Its defense got absolutely handled, and its offense was an absolute joke. The play calling was a joke. I mean, even the Brissett play was a terrible call, and still he threw actually a decent ball. But this was 4th and short where you thought you'd just run him up the middle and make it nice and easy. You got lucky with the penalty. Luckily that Bud Dupree was stupid, but it was a terrible play call. You just got lucky. Who would put Jabroni Brissett in that position? A terrible coaching staff. A head coach that still wants to play with that guy. Amazing to me, man. So I'm not blaming the referees. They sucked. They were terrible. But I'm blaming Flo more than anything else why this team lost. Justin Shell, by the way, thank you, sir, for a little love on the super chat. He says, what makes you think Greer can find a good head coach? What coach would come here with the GM on the hot seat? Being a GM is more than drafting players. That's right, but getting players is much more difficult. You can find a head coach. Okay, the head coach can be found. That one's not a problem. I think he can find players. It's a lot harder to find a GM that can find players. I'd rather make the change at the head coaching spot. Justin, so what do you want to do? You got a GM that can actually get players. So you want to get rid of that? Come on, man. Let's go. Let's use a little common sense. Thanks for the super chat, but please, come on, dude. What are you going to do, fire the coach and the GM? So now you got to find somebody that can pick the players too? No, man. You fire the head coach, okay? And listen, this is like an expansion team, okay? That's all. Flo is Renee Latchman. Flo is Ron Rothstein. Okay? You use them to a certain point. You got to that point. Now you got better talent. Now you go get a coach that can really take these guys over the top. That's what you do. That's what you need on this team. So Flo is nothing more than your expansion coach. You got Flo talking? All right, bring him up. Let's hear the excuses from Flo. Steve M., thank you also for the super chat, by the way, if I don't get you in time. And Ricardo.
I can't hear you.
Daniel, we're not getting any sound from you. We'll go to Omar first and come back to you, Daniel.
Obviously, you expected this to be a physical game, but they rushed for 198 yards on you. What happened from a defensive standpoint?
Yeah, I think they did a good job. You got to credit the Titans. They had a good plan. I thought we did some good things early, and then they made some adjustments. We had some missed tackles. We had some guys out of gaps. They took advantage. We got to do a better job.
Let's try Daniel again.
No.
So it's very quiet. You go to
So no, she can't.
okay, we'll go to David and then we'll try again.
Maybe Daniel could also use Omar's mic, but Coach, my question, could you put into? Oh, sorry. Am I back?
Yeah.
Yes, we can hear you.
Oh, yeah. Could you put into words the totality of what this team is feeling right now, fighting all the way back into the playoff picture to now being on the brink of elimination?
I mean, look, anytime you don't have the performance, that you're looking for, you're disappointed. But this group, they're going to stick together, support one another, and get back out there tomorrow, make the corrections tomorrow, and prepare for another big game next week.
Marcel?
Hey, Brian, I'm curious, what kind of impact do you think the weather conditions and the field conditions had on the outcome of this game? It looked like Tua specifically's ball security was a little, I guess, less secure than usual.
Yeah, I mean, I think it was rain, it was slick, but regardless of that, we got to do a good job protecting the football. I mean, that's always our number one priority. We got to do a better job protecting it. It's always a top priority. And look, they had the same elements we were dealing with, so even playing field from that standpoint, we got to do a better job.
Omar?
I actually wanted to ask you about Tannehill and the blitzes. They weren't necessarily effective against him, or you guys didn't utilize them as much. Was that the game plan? What were the Titans doing to neutralize the pressure?
I mean, the run game was part of that. We got to get them in situations where we try to get people in situations where we believe it's going to be a pass. So obviously the run game and the run success running it kind of neutralized some of that. And then I think they had a plan for a lot of it from a protection standpoint.
David?
Yeah, I wanted to ask about the play where there appeared to be a fumble in Tennessee territory that Agba came out of the pot with. What was the explanation you received there, and was that something you could challenge?
Yeah, I mean, they said it came out of it as a blue ball. So
okay, and also just Austin Jackson was out. Oh, sorry,
Go ahead.
Oh, that Austin Jackson was out quickly for a series, Solomon McKinley, and then Jackson came back in. What happened there?
Yeah, Austin just had to come out for a series, and so Solomon obviously backs him up. He went back in when he was ready.
Marcel?
Hey, Brian, I'm curious if did you get an explanation for the no pass interference call on Devontae there on I think 4th and 11?
He said he didn't see a hook, and that's his call.
Gotcha.
David,
Thank you.
David Lang?
Coach, you come into this game with an opportunity to control your own playoff destiny. How much was that something that you guys were thinking about this week? And then given the loss, how discouraging is it to have an opportunity like this and then put out a performance like that?
I mean, if it's every week we put our best foot forward to try to have a good performance. It was no different this week. I think our guys prepared the right way. I thought we had a good week of practice. Titans are a good team. They had a good plan, and then we didn't play well enough in any phase. And that starts with me. We didn't coach it well enough either. So we'll go back and make the corrections and try to play better next week.
We have time for two more. We'll go to Mike DePasquale and then Joe Schad.
Coach, you mentioned earlier about the missed tackles. And you mentioned about just some of the mistakes. Is that the most frustrating thing as you prepare your team, as you always do every week? What happened today along those lines, whether it be mistakes or miscues?
I think it always comes back to fundamentals and technique and tackling, breaking tackles, blocking guys, defeating blocks, and we can come up with all this. You have a plan, but at the end of the day, that's really what football boils down to. So you got to take care of those fundamentals. And we had some communication issues as well. So against a good team, you got to take care of all those little things, or else they take advantage.
Last question, Joe.
Well, when the game was still within reach, one of the offensive plays that stands out to me is a sack that was taken on third down that created a 53-yard field goal that was then missed. What was your perspective on that situation in that play?
I think it was a 3rd and 9 on I forget the yard line, but you don't want to sack in that situation. Create a longer field goal, which we ended up missing. You gotta execute better. Gotta protect better. We gotta get open quicker. And we weren't able to do that. And led to the sack, which losing those couple of yards was the difference in the field goal, especially in weather.
Thank you.
All right, there is wait a minute, am I in now? All right, there we go. That is the head coach, Brian Flores. He said it was blue ball on that fumble. It wasn't dead ball. So if it was dead ball, then you can't challenge, So I credit David Furones for asking the tough question. Not surprised David Furones was the one that was asking a tough question, but I would go with that. How's that? I'm sorry? Oh, Poupart's there? All right, good. But he should have challenged it. And that was weird, man. Flo has been incredibly inconsistent and really bad with challenges throughout so far. By the way, before we go to Alan Poupart, I'd be remiss if I did not mention, I'll make sure I get all this in, Frankie Fresco, love on the super chat. He says, defense played good enough to keep us in the game. When the offense plays like crap and gives you 3 points, Dolphins ain't winning. I disagree with you, Frankie. The defense played like crap. You cannot allow 200 yards on the ground. They made Foreman look like Henry. Ricardo Joseph, he says, can we be honest about Tua? He's not that great. That's right. He's in his 2nd year playing, and he's not that good right now. You are correct, sir. He was terrible today. That's the only way to describe it. But because you're terrible today doesn't mean you're not the answer. Steve M., thank you also on the super chat. He says, Big O, bad coordinators run trick plays. Seems like what they have to win the game, they played bad, disappointing. Brother, once the game starts and they're out of their first few plays that they designed, it seems like they have no more imagination after that. All right, let's go to Alan Poupart and our Sports Grill Miami Dolphins report.
Let's get ready to talk Dolphins football. It's the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupard. With locations throughout South Florida, Sports Grill is the home of the special grilled wings. Check out our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th and in Miami Lakes in the Royal Oaks Plaza. Here's Miami Dolphins insider Alan Poupard.
Legend that is Alan Poupard. Mr. Poupard, how are you doing, sir? Hope you had a good New Year's Eve and New Year's Day.
I did, and I'm ready. I get the feeling, judging by what I heard when I was backstage here, that you and I are going to have several little disagreements over here. So,
isn't it a beautiful thing?
Let's dive into it.
Let's dive into it. Coaching, defense, and Tua all failed this team today. You disagree or agree on that?
I disagree.
On what?
And let me start with something you discussed again while I was backstage. On the fumble recovery where Emmanuel Ogbah came out with the football, do you honestly think that there was conclusive evidence, that there would have been conclusive evidence at the bottom of the pile that it was Ogbah who had the fumble recovery as opposed to him just coming out with the ball like this? With the kind of scrum it was, the second the official went second down, Tennessee, the Dolphins had no shot of getting that reversed.
Well, you still got to challenge it because the ball came out. It was clearly a fumble.
That's not my point. My point is they would not.
You're assuming that they will lose it. You're right.
I know they will lose it because there's no way they would give the Dolphins the recovery because there was no clear evidence from any of the replays that we saw that it was the Dolphins and that Ogbah actually came up with the ball at the bottom of the pile before he came out with it going like this.
Didn't we watch him reverse a call last week?
Honestly, I don't recall.
I think there was a call last week in the NFL that got reversed.
In a situation like this, when there's a scrum,
I don't know exactly what was. I forgot exactly what the situation was. Maybe somebody can remind me. But believe it or not, something was reversed last week, which was.
I don't remember. I didn't think for a millisecond that Flores should challenge it, and it would have been to me a waste of a timeout. And the other point I'm going to take issue with you on, Tennessee rushed for 198 yards. You do understand that they got about 60 of those in garbage time when the game was already over.
Dude, the 40-yard run by the guy, that doesn't matter. Dude, the 132 yards was a tattoo ass-kicking, bend over without Vaseline type game. Okay? Come on, bro. Come on. 4 minutes.
Big O. Tennessee did not have 300 yards of offense until like 3 minutes left in the game. You're going to tell me the Dolphins couldn't have won with that kind of
about the passing, bro. The passing was minimal. That was just what they needed.
But that's part of the whole thing. You can't say the defense played like garbage because they gave up yards on the ground. People are complaining because the Dolphins, they didn't get 5 sacks and 4 takeaways on defense like they do every single week against garbage teams.
Foreman dominated them, my brother. He dominated them. He kicked their ass.
Sorry, this game, pure, simple, end of story, nothing else. The Dolphins lost because their offense couldn't do crap.
You're 1,000% right about that, obviously, but Foreman dominated them. I mean, there's no argument here. I don't know what you were watching, but 132 yards getting smacked on the head, and they pounded their ass right up the middle over and over again. I don't know.
They still could have won despite that 132 yards if the offense could have done something during the game.
Every time they needed to move the ball or get a first down, Foreman dominated that moment. Come on, dude. They didn't stop them. It was, 26 rushes, 130 yards.
And yet they had 17 points with 7.5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. Come on, Big O.
No, I get that I get because they don't have a big-time offense, my brother. It's not
correct. Let's not make it sound like the Dolphin defense got run off the field today. It didn't. Their offense got run off the field.
Oh no. The offense. Sorry. I totally agree with you that the offense was completely overmatched here today. I totally agree with you on that. But how can you disagree that Foreman didn't dominate their ass, bro? 26 for 132 is domination. It's 5 yards a carry.
And guess what? Duke Johnson had close to 5 yards of carry, except he didn't get it as often as Foreman did.
Which also shows what a shitty coaching staff the Miami Dolphins have, because Duke Johnson pulled off a couple of runs early on, and then they didn't build on it. And that's why, in the first half, Miami, 3rd and 10 from the 48, 3rd and 9 from the Miami 34, 3rd and 10 from the Miami 14, 3rd and 10 from the Tennessee 27, 3rd and 9 from the Miami 26, 3rd and 10 from the Miami 46. That's only the first half. Tennessee, 3rd and 10 from the Miami 30, 3rd and 1 from the Miami 47, 3rd and 6, 3rd and 2, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 1. They made it manageable. They used the running game to make manageable third downs for Tannehill. These idiots thought that they could pass happy against Tennessee, and when Duke actually pulled off a couple of runs early, they tuned it out and never went back to it. I mean, this is a terrible offensive coach. They are offensive, this coaching staff. They are a disgrace to football. Flo needs to get fired at the end of the year. He cannot find an offensive staff. The way they managed the game today, Tua was dog shit. But they also assisted in him being dog crap with the play calling that they had today.
No, you're there. You make a decent point. I can't.
No.
As much as I love to argue with you.
I crushed the point, and I crushed their clown ass offensive staff. They are a freaking joke. Tennessee,
Dude, they won 7 games in a row. Here's the thing.
Dude, please, we got to stop with that. It's the same shit that's gone on for 20 years. They're good enough to beat the shitty teams and not good enough to beat the playoff teams. They've been that for 25 years now, from Jimmy Johnson to this clown here that they've got now. They've been the same team, stuck in the middle. They can only beat crappy teams. That's been their MO their entire 25 years since Shula retired or pushed out, whatever you want to call it.
Not always as pronounced as this, but this is a team. Yeah, absolutely. And this is I wrote the other day when I questioned just how good the Dolphins were.
That's right, you did.
And I did. And what did I say? I said, look back to the 2020 season finale at Buffalo when the Dolphins were like really good, could make the playoffs, and they got smoked and really exposed. And guess what? Same thing again today.
That's why this 7-game winning streak thing, you can kiss my ass with all of that, because this has been going on forever. I tweeted this out earlier in the week. They've done this. This is the 4th time in 25 years. You know, Gase did it, Sperano did it, and Wanstead did it, where they had the shitty start, and then they won 8-9 games down the stretch of a 10 or 11 game stretch, and they got into the playoffs and all that stuff. Dude, I've seen this story before.
I know. And then you got a bunch of fans who were offended. Like, when are we going to get a national respect? When you beat a good team. And people didn't want to hear it. A lot of Dolphin fans didn't want to hear it. Of like, oh, a win's a win. Teams in the league don't get 7-game winning streaks. If you don't think that the schedule had a lot to do with
all of it,
winning 7 in a row,
all of it.
Yeah.
All of it. And listen, obviously they had a performance of a lifetime against the Ravens, which was a beautiful performance on their part, and we got to give them a lot of love for that. It was awesome. But, you know, the sun shines on every dog's ass every once in a while. I mean, the Jags will beat a good team every once in a while, and so will the Jets. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like it's impossible for a good team to lose against a really bad team in the NFL. It happens all the time, so let's not make it sound like it's something great. That's why you had to win these two, to kind of really say, okay, it was more than just beating teams at the perfect, like the Saints. You beat them at the right time. You know,
and even Baltimore, they're going on the road on a Thursday night game, which heavily favors their home team.
Yep.
But that still was the best win in the streak. But the streak was a mirage.
Yeah, and you know, and listen, the refs were terrible today. Devontae Parker was I mean, he was molested in the middle of the field for that ball, and they should have called it. Tannehill was offsides on that 4th down, which should have been 4th and 5, and that would have ended in a score, and that maybe you would have gotten out of that drive. Obviously, the fumble was Miami's fumble. And then we can also say Miami had 5 days of rest, and they had to travel to Tennessee's 10 days of rest, and they're at home. All the things were against Miami. But having said all that, the offense didn't show up. Tua played the worst game of the year. The defense got runned over. I'd love to use the other things as excuses because they're pretty good excuses, but you didn't earn it today. You didn't earn the right for me to use the excuses.
No, but you know they're coming. And I don't know about you, but as I'm watching,
I'm
as
not
I'm
used
watching this game, there's not really any moment when I thought the Dolphins had a really, really good shot. I mean,
No,
they come out. I mean, it's
no.
3 drives and nothing's happening offensively, and you can tell. And this is where give credit to Tennessee. They kind of negated the Dolphin pass rush, keeping extra backs in, screen passes right over the guy who's blitzing. I mean, there's a reason why that team, like Mike Vrabel's been there 4 years. They've had a winning record every year.
He's a good coach, man.
They made the playoffs the last 3 years, second year in a row, and now they're the number 1 seed because Cincinnati and Zach Taylor as their head coach beat KC and won the AFC North in the process.
By the way, okay, I don't think any of us can argue that the offensive staff is offensive. They are really, really bad, and you got to change them. But, dude, what about special teams? Like Jason Sanders is not the guy that we used to, and the punter was doing all right, and then all of a sudden today, I don't know, the elements, the wind, I don't know what the hell's going on, but a couple of those punts early on also helped Tennessee. Special teams has also taken a monster step back too this year.
Yeah, here's the point I would make though. No, and the thing with kickers and punters tend to go like up and down unless you get like a really elite one like Justin Tucker, for example. Well, no, but Tennessee's got one of those.
That's a Hall of Famer, bro. That's a Hall of Famer.
Well, no, but I not just him. Like Daniel Carlson with the Raiders is really, really good too. Brett Kern, the Tennessee punter, is like elite. Michael Pilardi has had a good streak, but he's not elite. And then Jason Sanders, look at his history, dude. 2018 comes in really, really good. 2019, not so good. 2020, out of this world. 2021, not so good. So now he's got a different holder. It doesn't really make that much of a difference. And then his field goal wound up having to be 53 yards because on third and 8, the entire offensive line gets blown up and Tua has no chance and gets sacked.
Yeah, he got killed. It was a terrible sack. I was talking before the game. Last week, Foreman had 17 yards. The week before, he had 108 against Pittsburgh. Then the week before that, 47 against Jags. And then the week before that, 109 against New England. So it was good, bad, good, bad.
There you go. He was due.
I mean, it's just crazy the way it's worked out. He looked like Derrick Henry today. That was frustrating as hell. What else would you be frustrated about in this game if you're a Dolphins fan?
Yeah, it pretty much encompasses the whole thing, to be honest with you. No, I mean, and you want to go back to the officiating. They called the DPI on Xavier Howard, and that was like, dude, you want to call defensive holding at the top of the route? Fine. But when the ball got there was no DPI. And if we're being honest, the officiating the whole year has been, rough.
Yeah.
So
but it was really bad towards the Dolphins today. I will say, I'm not big on blaming the referees, but man, today the Dolphins got the short end of the stick on not the reason why they lost. I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that at all. They earned that loss.
Yeah.
But they sucked today. The referee
they weren't helped. And it was bad from start to finish. And this is a team that's had a nice little run, but again, like we said last year after the Buffalo game at the end of the season, there's still a gap there between them and legitimate playoff teams.
All right, one more thing before I let you go. And I thought Trent Green brought something up. I believe he was the announcer in the game. And I know you can't do this in the middle of the game because I've talked to quarterbacks in the past. You've got to actually literally practice with a glove and kind of get used to it because there is an adjustment with the glove because you're not feeling the ball the same way. So I know there's an adjustment. But listen, if you're a mountain man like Josh Allen or Justin Herbert and you probably have big hands, okay, it's not a big deal in the weather. But if you're Tua, and unless you've got some giant hands that I don't know about, I think he made a good point. Maybe Tua needs to learn how to play with a glove, especially for conditions like this.
Yeah, but there's a lot of QBs that don't like the glove specifically because they want to have the feel. And I think I saw Tua when he did the YouTube video with Will Smith training at the Dolphin complex Will Smith's asking him how to hold a football. And if I remember correctly, Tua told him that he likes to have 3 fingers on the laces where most QBs like to have 2. So he wants to feel the laces, and that tells you right there he's not going to wear a glove on it until he absolutely has to. And then But some people were throwing out, well, he's not used to playing bad weather, or maybe he's not a good bad weather quarterback. Dude, you're playing in the AFC East. You're going to have other games like this.
Get used to it. Right. Yeah. No, you're right. It rains like crazy in South Florida, and you still got to go to the Meadowlands, and you got to go to Orchard Park, and
Gillette Stadium.
And Gillette Stadium. Yeah, dude. No. Yeah. Get used to it. You're going to need to adjust. Now, the crazy part is he makes the throw to Waddle downfield, but then, dude, he one hops the one to Hollins, and it's rolling to his left, his strength.
Yep.
So it was just one of those. It's not that he just I don't know. It was just one of those where I guess he didn't have a good grip of the ball or whatever it is, because you can't make the throw to Waddle downfield and then you miss on that, wide open Mac Hollins, dude.
No, and it was off target on a lot of other throws too. There were throws that he's normally accurate on, and I don't know. The one thing I noticed on the Waddle throw is he had really good protection. He really set his feet well, and he really was able to step into the throw, and that was a beautiful pass. And maybe on some other ones, I'll have to look at the game again. That maybe he didn't set his feet properly enough on a couple of throws that sailed. I remember a couple to Parker. I mean, Parker had 4 catches. He had 13 targets. I mean, that's.
You'll see on one of them, I believe it is to Parker, on one of them that he threw badly, he wasn't set right, because I saw it. I went and rewinded back and I looked at it. You'll see when you go back on one of them, I forgot which one it was, but I remember seeing it, that I looked at it and I go, okay, he didn't plant well, and he doesn't have the kind of body that he can't throw all arm or anything like that. The big guys can do that they're off balance or whatever, and they can still throw it all arm and get there with no problem. He's not that guy. He needs his lower part of his body to help him throw that ball.
No, and there were 2 other plays, if you recall, that Parker, there's one toward the end zone where Parker cut inside and he threw it outside. And then the failed fourth down that wasn't the missed DPI, where Parker stopped and Tua threw it as if he would continue running down the sideline. So they weren't on the same page on those. I don't know if they were option routes, and they just read each other different, but they were completely out of sync offensively from the start.
Yeah, they were terrible today. All right, follow him on Twitter at Poupart NFL. Catch his exceptional work there at the Sports Illustrated. Make sure, if you're a Dolphin fan, you got to bookmark his Sports Illustrated page with all the Dolphin news, and you will keep up with everything going on. We will talk to you on Wednesday, my man, as we head down the home stretch here.
Yes, sir. Talk to you then.
All right, brother. Be good. There you go. Alan Poupart, baby. Excellent work, as always, with our Sports Illustrated Miami Dolphins Insider Report.
This has been the Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report with Alan Poupart, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast and never miss a report. Search Big O Radio Show on most platforms. Visit Sports Grill in our sponsored locations in Miami on Bird Road and 114th, and in Miami Lakes in the Royal Oaks Plaza.
Sports Grill Miami Dolphins Insider Report with Sports Illustrated's Alan Poupart. There we go. Okay, now I got it right. At least the announcer got it right. That's the one that counts. The guy with the big voice, not me. I don't count whatsoever. You can't call the plays you want with Tua, as your QB's limited. That's why they're calling them stupid end-arounds. That's really an intelligent text, RB Blanco. Benjamin Michael, need to get rid of him. Stop trying to waste our time trying to fix him. Tua nor team or whatever it says there. Bring back Cleo Lemon. All right, I like that. Joel says Tua doesn't have trade value. Tua is not even a good scrimmage guy. Yeah, I see. This has been the season of the getting caught in the moment. And that's kind of what it's been, all you prisoners of the moment. Fire Greer, all these draft picks suck. And then now all the draft picks pretty much are developing except the offensive line. So nobody says that anymore. So you kind of, again, acting at the moment. You know what I mean? You live in the moment. And so then when you find out it's wrong, you just move on to something else. And so today was a terrible game, especially by the coaching staff. Set up everything to fail, and Tua obviously was absolutely terrible. So all of a sudden now Tua can't play. So that's it is what it is. Sometimes you're not going to be able You cannot compete with that coaching staff. No player is at their best with that coaching staff. That coaching staff doesn't even know how to play Jalen Phillips. They still put him in coverage. That coaching staff just does not get it. I told Poupart early on, let me ask you something. I tell you, it's hard for me to ever believe that Duke Johnson could be an every down running back, right? Okay. So 2 weeks ago, he has 100 yards. Last week, he didn't do much. He had that 110-yard run that was really key in that moment. Yeah, last week, remember? So this week, Duke gets a couple of really strong runs. I believe he got like a first down on a couple of those runs, like 10 yards, right? Right? So let me ask you something. What happened? So all of a sudden, your O-line's popping some holes. Your running back goes off and gets a couple of runs, which would make Tua's life a lot easier. But no, their decision is to go away from that and then have Tua pass against a defense like that. And yet Vrabel knows, well, wait a minute, we got a defense that can rush the crap out of us. You know what we got to do? We got to run the ball, guys. We got to run, and make the downs manageable. And that's exactly what they did. We don't have the quarterback that can carry us, guys. So we've got to run with Foreman. We got to make sure we have manageable downs so Ryan can complete the 3rd and 1s and the 3rd and 5s and all that. We can't keep putting Ryan in 3rd and 9 or 3rd and 10. But no, let's do that to Tua on a consistent basis. Let's put him on 3rd and 9 and 3rd and 10 because all you're doing is passing the ball. Folks, you can say whatever you want, and I get it if you don't want to understand it, because I understand that some of you out there, you get a little nervous when you have to make tough decisions, and they're really not that tough. And I've been telling you for months now that the major problem with the Miami Dolphins is Brian Flores. And that's the main problem with the Miami Dolphins. Brian Flores doesn't help his team win every week. They win in spite of him. They win in spite of his coaching staff. And that's the problem. And so until you can get a coaching staff that can help their players and assist them in becoming better, because it doesn't matter who you are. You could be a Hall of Fame talent like Steve Young, and you're stuck in Tampa, and you look like dog crap. And then all of a sudden, you go to San Francisco, and the world changes for you. And you're all of a sudden a much better player. And no, you're the same player. You were just with a terrible environment, a terrible coaching staff. It doesn't help you out. Okay? You look at Tua's offensive stats, and you look at Herbert's offensive stats in college, and guess what the difference is? The coaches. Mario Cristobal's offensive coaches aren't better than Alabama's offensive coaches. And what you got here is you got terrible coaches. Mike Vrabel's a hell of a coach. Brian Flores is not. That's the difference. Brian Vrabel's offensive coordinator became a head coach. That's a head coach. What have I told you guys for months now? It's not about just hiring one offensive staff. It's about hiring another offensive staff and another offensive staff and another offensive staff, because you're going to lose them. Mike Vrabel's such a good coach that his offensive coordinator became a head coach. So now he's got to replace him. And guess what? They're in the playoffs again. That's Mike Vrabel. That's the difference between Mike Vrabel and Brian Clown-ass Flores. Yes, sir.
Well, I was going to give you an update on the Antonio Brown situation.
Yes.
Bruce Arians has vehemently said that AB is no longer a Buck. So
okay,
that's done.
All right. Well, he said he didn't want him in the first place, and then Brady said, I want him. All right, I guess he's coming. Irv Gilliam, thank you, sir, for giving us a little love in the super chat. It's always Tua's fault when we lose. I'm glad some of you fans never sought to work in the NFL via coaching, management, or scouting. Hey, Tua screwed up today. I'm not giving Tua any breaks today. He played like dog crap today. By the way, I like that he showed the emotion on the sidelines. That he was pissed. And he should be pissed. He played like crap. But his coaches do not help him whatsoever. And I gave you a perfect example of you watch the way Tennessee did things today, and they did the things the right way, knowing that they don't have a quarterback that can carry them. So they made life easy for their quarterback so he can go out there and put pedestrian stats of 13 of 18 for 120 yards. You know, the man had 58 yards passing in the half. At halftime, he was 7 of 11 for 58 yards. He ended up with 120. I mean, he was on pace for 120. He was on pace for 116. He ended up with 120. You know what it is that your quarterback only has to throw 120 yards and 2 touchdowns? That's because you got handled. And that's because they're smart. And they ran the game the right way. And meanwhile, the Dolphins were incredibly stupid on how they ran their offense and how they set up their players for failure. Disgusting. I'm disgusted by it. Do you think the Dolphins are coaching to save money? Anton, bro, put the beer down, put the drugs down. Please seek help, because obviously there's no way that you are sober asking that kind of a question. Either that or you know nothing about pro football. Dougie Fresh, thank you for some love on the super chat. We went on a date and thought we were getting some. Instead, she told you about her incurable genital warts. Her badger hair weave fell out, and she brought her sister, who is going through a bad divorce. Yeah, that's pretty much the Dolphins. Yeah, that was them. By the way, Cash App or Venmo to also send in a donation. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo. Hire Dougie P. I'd rather hire Dougie Do Wrong. Okay? I think Dougie Do Wrong will do better. Oh man, that show with Dougie this week is gonna be it's gonna be a classic. It's gonna be a classic. Let's see. Peter German sends us some love on Venmo. Cash Big O Show. That's Cash Big O Show. Peter says, bad for Finns. This is exactly why we need a new staff. How could you have a game plan that is based on the past when it's rainy, cold, and bad and bad? You want to eliminate mistakes. Johnson averaged 6 yards a carry so they can take him out and start passing. Makes no sense. Peter, that's what we get for having a terrible coaching staff. Chris Greer wants to save his job. He better fire Flo. If he brings Flo back the following year, I've watched this story before. You end up firing everybody. And then we lose the people that can actually pick players. They just got to go find a coach now. That's it. S. Harris, thank you, sir, for some love on the super chat. He says the problem is no sep by the wide receivers, no cheap plays. You're right, no separation. They never get any separation. You're right. Cruz Ruiz, again, thank you, sir, for love on the super chat. Very nice of you. Appreciate all of you out there, as always. Cash Big O Show on Cash App or Venmo, by the way, just in case. So, there you go. Greer drafted Tua, and I don't have a problem with Tua. I get it. You guys are prisoners of the moment and all that stuff. Tua needs real coaching and a real offensive line, and he'll be just fine. You know, with these guys, nobody. See, here's you know what shows that a lot of you actually may not know a lot about football. You actually think that Deshaun Watson would save this team. Deshaun Watson won as many games as David Mills has this year. And by the way, the Texans are worse this year than they were last year. How about chewing on that one? The third string quarterback that they've got playing now has as many wins as Deshaun Watson last year. And the team is worse than it was last year because they've traded away all kinds of players. So chew on that one. See, some of you know, it's, I think you think this is like fantasy football. I think you think this is like a fairy tale or something. You really don't follow the game. If you think you just take two out and then you put anybody back there, Montana, Jim Kelly, Marino, Tua, whoever you want, behind this crap, nobody wins. But with those coaches, nobody wins. Marino ends up injured. Watson will probably end up injured because Tua got injured. Why wouldn't Watson get injured? The quarterback is not the problem here. The problem is everything else that's going on around the quarterback. There's no running game, there's no coaching, there's no offensive line, and there's no head coach. Some of you out there, you really are just absolutely misplaced with the reality of how bad the situation is on offense. How's that? I can't hear you. Oh, you got two? Okay. Robert Carrillo is in, going to the barbecue tree tip. Nemondo, gracias, hermano. I don't know what that means, but barbecue trip tip, Nemondo. I don't know what that is, but I guess have some Nemondo. Apparently, it's really good, according to Robert. Thank you, Robert. Appreciate the tip. All right, let's do this. Let's take a really quick break. Let's start off hour number 2. We'll come back. We'll hear Tua's press conference. Omar Kelly is set to join us. Cameron Wolf is set to join us. We take a break. Back with more right here on the Big O Radio Show, coming to you live from Sports Grill in Bird Road and 114th.
There's no need to drive around South Florida wasting valuable time looking for a new or certified pre-owned Acura. Go to the #1 volume sales dealership in the Southeast United States. Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. Purchase with pace and space in a dealership tailored to your needs. From home buying to providing that personal touch. Contact the 2020 Satisfaction Award winner Craig Zinn's Acura of Pembroke Pines. 888-776-5123. That's 888-776-5123. Or visit them at 15601 Pines Boulevard in Pembroke Pines.
The Big O Radio Show is looking for partners to join our growing platform. If your business is ready to reach an audience that starts in Florida, crosses the nation while expanding internationally, this is the program that provides that vehicle. The Big O Radio Show is ready to broadcast live anywhere in the world to represent your event or product. To reach out by phone, 786-754-4664. That's 786-754-4664. Or email bigoradioshow@yahoo.com. Help us grow as we provide the content and personal connection corporate entities will never achieve.
Folks, you can support the hardest working sports talk show in South Florida through Cash App or Venmo. Just search Cash Big O Show. Support us through Cash App or Venmo. Cash Big O Show. We thank you for your incredible support.
If you're a Miami sports fan, then there's only one store to go to, and that's Caneswear at Miami Fanwear in Davie. They're your one-stop shop for all your inner Miami CF, Canes, Dolphins, Panthers, and Marlins merchandise. They have hats, t-shirts, game day jerseys, and so much more. Located at 2511 South University Drive in Davie and open 24/7 online at caneswear.com or innermiamiwear.com. Call them at 954-835-5597. Caneswear, the spot where Inner Miami and all Miami sports fans shop.
The viewpoints, statements, or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyAccess.com, Media Group Inc., ownership, management, sponsors, or website.
This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Welcome back. Welcome back. Ray Martinez, thank you, sir, for a little love on the Cash App. Very nice of you. Robert Carrillo, I mentioned. Thank you, sir, on the Super Chat. Andy Fernandez, a little love on the Super Chat. Thank you, my friend. Matthew Tillisley says, Jim Caldwell, question mark. He would take this young team forward. Yeah, I would rather have Jim Caldwell than Brian Flores any day of the week and twice on Sundays. I know he's interviewing, and I've talked about this. I threw out Jack Del Rio, and you know what? That's another good one, Jim Caldwell. You got to get a Jim Caldwell, Jack Del Rio type, older coaches that have a fat-ass Rolodex. They've been on 10 teams already as head coaches, assistant coaches. They know everybody in the league, and they can put together good staffs. I would love Jim Caldwell. You only need Del Rio or Caldwell only have to be delegators. They have to manage. Flo is literally trying to coach everything. Literally. So Matthew, by the way, great. Thank you for the super chat first and foremost, because we love the support. But that's a great text. The problem is we don't know if Caldwell's interested or not or whatever. I don't know what the hell's going on, but Caldwell wouldn't be bad. Leon Fresco says, Flo, too much of a micromanager to improve coaches. Well, when you hire guys that don't have experience, you have to micromanage, Leon. And when you're not good enough to do that, then it becomes a disaster like what it is. And that's the problem. Younger coaches are smarter to hire established coaches, experienced coaches, because it's less worries for them. But this guy's ego doesn't let him do that. He wants to control everything. That's the problem. Okay? I mean, this is a guy that doesn't even play Gesicki all the time. There was a play where I saw Waddle come off the sidelines, and I'm like, so Waddle wasn't in that play. It's like, really? Like, Waddle wouldn't be out of the game for me unless I'm punting or kicking a field goal. Outside of that, Waddle has no business being off the field for me. Or Gesicki. All right, let's hear from Tua Tagovailoa. We are going to be hearing from Omar Kelly and Cameron Wolf too soon. But let's hear from the starting quarterback of your Miami Dolphins. I would imagine he was not a happy camper with his performance today because he was terrible. All right. Hey, sometimes we don't have good days. This was definitely one of them for him. Go ahead, Sean.
Hey,
Kick it in.
everyone, please raise your hands and we'll get started with questions for Tua. We'll go to Daniel.
Can you hear me?
Yep.
Okay. When you kind of look back at kind of some of the sloppy execution in terms of the fumble, and obviously there were some rain and wind involved, I guess just how much did that play a role in some of the execution or lack of it? And do you think that you were maybe prepared for that?
Yeah, it played somewhat of a role, but at the end of the game, you got to go out there and you got to go and execute the plays, regardless of the conditions, regardless of what it is, and that we just didn't do enough of.
David Lang.
Tua, there are going to be a lot of people questioning right now if you are the quarterback who could put the Dolphins over the hump and take them to the playoffs. Why are people wrong to doubt you moving forward?
Well, I think people have their own opinions. I've heard this the entire time I've been here. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I can control what I can control, and that's to be the best version of myself for this team. I mean, we got to move on to the next game at this point. We'll look at the mistakes that we've made, make some corrections, and move on.
Mike?
Tua, you mentioned the mistakes. I just want to ask you, because this week, as you always say, the coaches put a game plan in place, prepare you the best way possible. Leading up to this, things that worked did not work today. I know you have to watch film, but just if you had to summarize some of it, was it a miscue or mistakes out there overall by the offense?
Yeah, I mean, if one person doesn't do what they need to do, then it pretty much screws up the play. whether it's me making a certain throw, the running backs running and finding the right lane, or the line blocking a certain way, the receivers routes, everything matters and little things matter. So, it's just poor execution on our part.
Thank you, Tua.
David?
Hey, Tua, a key play when you guys, when the game was still close, you guys drove into field goal range, and then a third down sack kind of pushed you back, and then long field goal came up just short. Can you take us through what broke down on that play?
Yeah, can't take the sack. Obviously, I try to step up and fire it into Jalen, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to. So that's what happened. Couldn't execute that. Yeah.
Joe?
Tua, I was also going to ask you about that play. Instead, I'll ask you a more general question. How would you describe the emotions for yourself and for your teammates?
Well, it's never a good feeling losing. There's been about 7 games where we've been able to pull out and string some wins. So I mean, it's tough. It's tough coming on the road. You lose. It's never a good feeling. So it's just back to the way we got to do things and move on to next week.
Thanks.
Marcel?
Hey, Tua, specifically over the last 3 weeks, have you noticed any sort of difference in how defenses are playing you guys? Have they been figuring this offense out a little bit, or just maybe making a couple tweaks here and there, or what's been the difference that you've seen?
Well, I think they really run what they do well. There's really not much game planned unless it's third down. They'll bring some pressure here and there on normal down and distances, but other than that, they stick to what they do and what they do really well, and they just go out there and execute. And we try to stick to what we do and try to execute, but obviously that wasn't the case today.
And to just follow up, do you feel like they've been, starting with that Jets game, do you feel like teams have been any more ready for this quick passing game, this kind of rhythm and timing passing game that you guys like to do on offense?
I mean, I'm not too sure, as far as how they prepare for us. So, I think a lot of the teams that we've been playing, here within these last couple weeks, and they're really good teams. They got veteran guys out there, and their communication is at an all-time. So, we just got to do a better job of executing.
Rockus and Dave Hyde. Yanni?
Tua, is there a level on comfort playing from behind? Because over this winning streak, you've been ahead for the most part.
No. It's football. You gotta not worry about the score. You just keep your head down and you keep fighting, and you try to string some good plays together to get some points on the board.
Final question, Dave?
Yeah, unmuted now?
Yes, we can hear you.
Your first pass was a deep pass, second play was a pass. Was that just stuff you saw, or was the game plan to come out attacking this defense, strong defensive line, obviously? And what were you guys trying to do offensively today?
Yeah, offensively, we wanted to try and push the ball downfield, get into some of the areas that we felt were going to be voided with the play action game. We wanted to try to stay ahead of the sticks, be in manageable third downs, but that wasn't the case with our first 3 series. We were 3rd and 9, I think 3rd and 10, and maybe another 3rd and 10. But yeah, you can't go out there and not be able to execute on the road against a good team, and expect the outcome to, be good. So it just needs to be better execution from us.
Thank you.
There you go. That is the quarterback, Tua Tagovailoa. Interesting how he was talking about how not, anything that, any one person will mess up the play. And he obviously talked about himself or anybody else, which has happened so much. And David Lang, give him credit, because I know David. David asked Tua about, is he the guy, right? And the interesting part about all of this is, did you hear what Tua's response was? I've been hearing this since I got here. So it's got to be one of those things that, it's at a point where it bothers him, I'm sure. It's like, it's nobody gets behind me or whatever, that kind of stuff. And I don't believe that. I think there's a section of people that are behind him. I'm behind him. The durability is the only thing I would ever question with the young man. And I do understand, at least I believe what I see, that the structure around him is terrible. And that happens sometimes with quarterbacks, and you don't have a great environment. And if you don't have certain things, it doesn't help you succeed. And so right now, I think that's what's mainly going on. But through the failures, you then get this. And that's what goes on now. Now that you lost, gorgeously, disgustingly, just terrible, 34-3, you lose that game, it doesn't instill any kind of confidence in a lot of people. And then you get the prisoners of the moment, right? The ones that think that Justin Herbert is a Hall of Famer and he hasn't won anything. And then they see him last week peeing his pants when he has to go, at least bring the game back to a score against the Texans, and he can't do it. But then, there you go, prisoners of the moment. Same thing with Tua. Oh, he can't play. Well, wait a minute. The guy just completed his first season, and he has very little to no help right now. Maybe you want to assess him when he actually has like a real coach and a real offensive line and a real running game. And then maybe you can find out if he can play. Because I know he's not Superman. You know what I mean? So we are caught up in all of this. Some of us, that is. And I know some of you have had that issue with me because for a while now I've said Flo's not the guy. And again, I know some of you trip out on it because I was big. I was happy with Flo last year. And even the year before, I was happy with Flo. But now, I got to reassess things. And I got to say, no, I'm not happy anymore with the guy. I don't think he's the answer. I now have seen enough adversity to know whether he's the answer or not. I've watched him enough in in-game situations with a lack of adjustment. I've watched him struggle on his own side of the ball, which is defense. I can understand that Flo won't be good on offense because he's not an offensive mind, even though he thinks he can do it all. But, I've watched enough of this. Listen, man, I love the Manny Diaz hire, and after the first year of coaching, I was done with Manny Diaz. Now, he hung around for 2 more years, and then everybody caught up to me. And that's fine, dude. Listen, I said to fire Dale Talon before anybody else. And then, because it was blasphemous to say, fire Dale Talon. I mean, how are you going to say, fire a guy that has Hall of Fame credentials? But I did. I was the first guy in town to say, that guy needs to be fired. And eventually the owners caught up and they fired him. So listen, man, I'm used to being ahead of the curve most of the time. I'm not right most of the time. I'm not wrong most of the time, but I can be wrong. And maybe I'm wrong about Flo. But once I knew that Manny wasn't the guy, I gave up on him. Once I knew Sperano wasn't the guy, I gave up on him. I knew Philbin wasn't the guy from the get-go. The Gase hire. I didn't say to hire Gase, but when they hired him, I liked the hire. I did. I said, all right, I get why they're hiring him, right? Okay, if that's all true, fine. After year 1, I liked Gase. I said, okay, looks like a good hire. Year 2, I was done. That's all. You have to assess things and then look at them. But what you cannot do is stick with what doesn't work. And Brian Flores does not work. Okay? It does not fit. He's not a head coach. He's not ready to be a head coach. He cannot build a staff, and he is not a good game day coach. And he proves it all the time. And you cannot keep falling behind in key moments or at the beginning of a season. And that's what he constantly does also. So enough of all this crap with, this winning streak and trying to label this winning streak more than it was. It was just a rut in the schedule, and they were able to take advantage of that rut in the schedule, and that's it. But when push came to shove, like prior Dolphin teams of the last 20 years, what happens? They got shoved. And that's what happened today. They got dominated. They got dominated by some guy named Foreman. Okay? All right, David Holt, by the way, it says, thank you, sir, on the super chat. He says, doesn't seem smart to me that the game plan be push it downfield in a high win, crap field, rainy game. Historically, run game first, coaching. Exactly. And that's what you saw from the Tennessee staff. They were smart. And you know what? We're going to talk to Cameron Wolf about that. The Wolf Pack is ready to go. Let's do it with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Miami Dolphins, and NFL report.
We unleash the Wolf Pack as we get the latest in the NFL and Miami Dolphins with our Fort Lauderdale Police Department Pro Football Report with insider Cameron Wolf. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department is an equal opportunity employer. The department is now hiring uncertified and certified police officers. Go to flpdjobs.com. Here's NFL insider Cameron Wolf.
All right, Cam.
Big O, what's up, man?
Well, Cam, let me tell you something, my man. I have been off the Flow bandwagon for a couple of months now, and today to me was another example of why I'm not a Flow guy anymore. And the team you used to cover, they were smart. So let me have some fun here. Well, it's not really fun, but first half, okay, Miami. 3rd and 10 from the Miami 48, 3rd and 9 from the Miami 34, 3rd and 10 from the Miami 14, 3rd and 10 from the Tennessee 27, 3rd and 9 from the Miami 26, 3rd and 10 from the Tennessee 46. Let's go to Tennessee in the first half. 3rd and 10 from the Tennessee 30, 3rd and 1 from the Tennessee 47, 3rd and 6 from the Miami 10, 3rd and 2 from the Miami 26, 3rd and 7 from the Miami 42, and 3rd and 1 from the Miami 34. So, in a game where Duke Johnson early on punched it out and actually got some good runs, early, healthy runs, they disappeared. They stopped giving him the ball. Meanwhile, Tennessee was smart. They know they don't have a quarterback that can carry them, so they unleashed Freeman. They put manageable third downs, and I know Tua was terrible today. I'm not making any excuses for Tua today. He was bad, but, dude, you kept putting him in 3rd and long. And in a game where the elements were a factor and all of that, you should have run the ball a little bit more. And you were having some success early on. Why not try to make it the same kind of game Tennessee did? Manageable third downs. Let your quarterback do something that's a lot easier than playing 3rd and long on a consistent basis against that defense.
Oh, they don't have the talent. They don't have the personnel to do what you want. Like I'm with you. I wish they would have had a lot of the same style, but I was watching this game and I kept thinking there's nothing the Dolphins can do up front to change this game because their offensive line is terrible. And, we saw some successful runs with Duke Johnson, but too often it was run, pass, 3 and out, right? So that's the type of offensive scheme that we criticize them for. In the Changeli era and previous eras, we want them to switch it up, right? Not just run the ball, and then pass the ball. So we can't call it both ways. So to me, I looked at this game plan. I looked at the team that just got beat because one, they were out coached. Two, they had out talented, and three, they were a team that could not handle the adversity. And this time, I'm talking about the weather. I'm talking about
They got
the field
dominated.
conditions.
They got
It was just a
dominated.
complete domination. Coaches, players, ability to handle adversity all around. So, I don't look at it as like, hey, if they ran the ball more, they would have won. No, maybe they scored 3 or 6 more points, but they still get their ass beat. Regardless of how much they run the ball, they ran into a team that was tougher than them, that was better than them, that was better coached than them. And this really is a game kind of like the Bills game last year. It feels like the Bills game that ended the season last year was just a complete beatdown that crushes all your hope and sends you into the offseason figuring out like, man, we really weren't close, were we? And I think this team, particularly on offense, has to understand they're not close.
No,
Their
listen.
defense is good in the stint, but this offense, there's a lot of issues to be fixed. And I know a lot of things are going to be on the quarterback. A lot of people are going to ask the obvious question, do they need to replace Tua? And I think there's a time in the offseason to have that conversation. But I think that when you look at this offense, outside of Jalen Waddle, there's nothing I feel good about consistently.
No, and listen, in theory, I love what you're saying. I agree with it. The only thing I don't agree is that early on you did have a couple of runs and then you just didn't keep trying to run the ball. And that was my problem because you look at early on and 1st and 10, you start with a pass. And then 1st and 10 from the Miami 37, you start with another pass. And then you got Duke Johnson up the middle for 16 yards, right? Then he goes no yards on the next gain. And then on 2nd and 10, you pass to Waddle, no gain. Now you're on 3rd and 10, you lose. So there you were able to, try to run the ball and have some success, but you weren't able to do it. Then you come back on the second drive and it's 1st and 10 and Tua throws the ball. Then Johnson gets 1 yard and now you're in 3rd and 9 and you're on a 3 and out. You know what I mean? So when you do have success, you don't bother to follow it up and try to continue to run the ball. On the 3rd possession, it was Lindsey up the middle for no gain, and it's what you're talking about. And then it was an incomplete to Parker and a 1-yarder that Tua ended up running, so they end up punting again. Then you know what I mean? It's almost like there was no rhyme or reason to what they were doing. And that's the part that's kind of weird about everything that's going on. And to me, this is.
No, I'm with you on that, though.
Now wait a minute. Now listen. I'm not excusing Tua. I'm a Tua supporter. I'm a Tua believer, and all of that. He was terrible today, but I don't think the coaches assisted him the way the coaches assisted Ryan on the other side of the football. That's all I'm saying.
Now, Big O, you got to call it both ways now here, right? Because I'm a supporter of Tua. We've talked about this on this show, but you got to call it the way it was. Ryan Tannehill outplayed Tua today, and you can't hide that. Like, I wouldn't say Tua was the sole reason they lost, but we talked a lot leading up to this game about Tua and Ryan Tannehill and the elements. So you got to call it what it is. Tua did not step up to the plate with the game on the line. Yes, his supporting system failed him, but if you're my franchise quarterback, you have to play better than you did in this game. They did not get in the red zone one time today. Big O, not one time.
No, they were terrible.
Not even a single red zone trip all day. And I could feel that the Dolphins, the Dolphins called a terrible game, but they had very little confidence in that Tua was going to be able to change things at the end. They ran that double reverse to Mike Gesicki where Mike Gesicki's throwing the ball. And I'm like, that's a give up play to me. That's a play you run when you literally have nothing else. Right. Nothing's working. You just throw this away. So I think this team has to really go back to the drawing board and figure out who we are as a team. That's going to be coaching staff. That's going to be players. That's going to be quarterback. So I do not give Tua out in this game based on.
No, I haven't either. I've never said that. Tua deserves a lot of the blame today, along with the coaches. And let me tell you, the defense too, man. The defense knew that Foreman was coming at them because they weren't going to get a heavy dosage of 17 because 17 can't do that. So they did what they were supposed to do, run the hell out of Foreman and make it manageable for 17. And that's exactly what they did to a T for the defense to know that they were going to be run on, and they still allowed it. That's embarrassing, dude. That's embarrassing.
Yeah, Absolutely. And it was interesting to hear post game Christian Wilkins say something to the effect that they figured us out. Because coming into this game, we talked about this defense and their disguises and how they were confusing other teams. Not one time did the Titans look confused. Not one time did Ryan Tannehill look in distress. The whole first half, they didn't sack him at all. I don't even know if they even touched him.
Well,
So,
they played
you're
more
right.
zone. They played more zone than they didn't
Yep.
blitz happy like they normally would. I don't know why, but I guess they must have figured that Tannehill was going to beat their blitz, which I would have taken my knowing what the game was. I would have taken my chances going after Ryan, and they didn't do that today.
Yeah, they did. They didn't. They didn't bring the heat. They played a lot of zone, like you mentioned. Seemed like a game plan to play conservative and stop AJ Brown. And they did stop AJ Brown. They just didn't stop the run game at all, and they didn't make Tannehill uncomfortable. So I guess their goal was successful, but it wasn't enough to win, and they put up 35 points in the board.
So let me ask you. Okay, so Flo is inconsistent as hell. His defense isn't as consistent as it should be since he's a defensive guru. I can always count on Andy Reid to have a great offense. So I would imagine that normally, whatever that coach is, that part of the football is usually strong. So that defense is giving up plays when it's not supposed to. He's played players out of place, like Phillips, having him drop back in coverage instead of going after the quarterback. He can't hire an offensive staff. He's made 7 changes with the O-line and the OC. You tell me, why would you bring this guy back? And what makes you think that he could actually hire a really good offensive staff to fix the issues of this team for next year? Because that's where I have a hard time understanding why you would even bring back Brian Flores at this point.
So I'm not with you on that. I'll have to say I don't agree with the fire Flores kind of narrative. I'm sure that's a reaction after this loss. Like, he was certainly out coached.
Oh no, I've been on it for 10 weeks. No, this isn't
this is where I hear you, but I don't agree with you on that. I think that Flores clearly hasn't proven that he can lead a playoff team, but I'm not out on his ability to coach completely. I think that his biggest weakness is what you mentioned. He really struggles to find somebody to lead his offense.
So wait a minute,
can that be fixed? Can that be fixed? Right. So can you be a good head coach without being able to hire a good offensive coordinator?
No, you cannot.
You don't think they are? So I can separate the two.
My brother, the guy you just left, his offensive coordinator became a head coach. So it's not about hiring one good offensive coordinator, one good offensive line coach, and one good quarterbacks coach, which they don't have any of those. It's about replacing those over and over and over again. That's what great head coaches do. They're great delegators. This guy can't get it right once. So that's the part I don't understand when I bring this up to everybody, and most people are hesitant. Most people aren't going to be like me. I get it. I understand. But nobody can make up a decent argument to say he can fix it when it's obvious he can't. In 3 years, dude, he's made 7 changes. So how can he fix this?
I don't have an answer for you. I honestly don't. I wish I could lie. I wish I could lie to you, Flo, and say he could do Big O, and say that he could do this, and he fixes it. I don't have an answer. I don't know if he can, because I've seen him 3 years, 3 different offensive coordinators. You want a new offensive coordinator, which is fine, but are we confident that the 4th guy is going to be any better than the previous?
Oh no!
So,
I've given up on that already. He can't. I don't think.
So the idea of change for change purposes to me isn't. I think that you're at a really precarious spot for this Dolphins franchise, because if you're going to support Tua, if you're going to be all in on Tua, then there has to be a dramatic change. And if you're not changing the quarterback, you're not changing the coach, you're not changing the GM, what changes? And to me, another offensive coordinator change is not enough of a dramatic change for this team to be in a better position.
Well, not only that, Cam, I don't know how much snooping you've done. In that building, they know they don't have an offensive line coach either. Okay?
Yeah.
You go ahead and ask a couple questions in the building, and they don't even want to address that guy's position. Okay? Talk. I know you know a few people in that building. Call them and ask them about the O-line
Yeah.
coach. And trust me, you're going to get very entertaining responses on the O-line coach.
Right. I'm with you, Big O. I think there's probably a good chance they hire a new O-line coach this offseason as well. But look, changing position coaches, changing coordinators every year clearly does not fix the issue.
No.
So at some point it becomes the players, or it becomes the coaches, or it becomes both. So I think there has to be some sort of decision, because it's the second year in a row that they've gone out horribly. Like, this is the end. The Chargers win today, the Dolphins will be eliminated, and this is essentially like the Bills game last year, the finale, the bad taste in your mouth, the thing that you're going to remember all offseason. So this all offseason, we're going to talk about this last game and why they choked it. They couldn't get it out. And the reasons are going to be this offense. So how do you fix this offense? And like I said, I'm a Tua supporter. I know that you are, Big O, but it's hard to picture this team dramatically changing the way they're currently constructed with Tua as the quarterback.
Okay, so we'll wrap it up with this. What's the bigger problem then? The offensive players or the offensive coaches?
I think it's the offensive players. I'm a player blamer first, because look, Big O, these coaches aren't playing on the field.
I know.
Play.
I know.
They don't put the product out there. So yes, the coaches are a factor to an extent, but the players have to be able to play. That offensive line is the worst offensive line I've seen in football consistently throughout the year. That receiving core outside of Jalen Waddle has really struggled to create anything. And I think that Tua has shown a lot of progress this year, but there's still questions about whether he can be a top 10 quarterback. So overall, the offensive players are a bigger issue than the coach, man. That's just kind of the way I see it.
Follow him on Twitter at Cameron Wolf, and you can catch his work there at the NFL Network. And, of course, you can catch him twice a week here with the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Miami Dolphins, and NFL Report. Cam, appreciate you, my brother. Thank you, as always. Happy New Year. Hope you had a good one.
Happy New Year.
And we'll talk
Absolutely.
again later in
Headed
the
to
week.
the airport now. Hopefully my flight is not delayed.
Yeah, dude. I mean, they're canceling
All right, man.
thousands, dude. Yeah. Fingers crossed. Yeah, be safe. Safe travels, too. There you go. Cameron Wolf, baby, and the Fort Lauderdale Police Department, Miami Dolphins, and NFL Report.
This has been the Fort Lauderdale Police Department Pro Football Report with insider Cameron Wolf. The Fort Lauderdale Police Department is an equal opportunity employer. The department is now hiring uncertified and certified police officers. Go to flpdjobs.com.
All righty. We back. Luis Notare, thank you, sir, for giving us a little love on Venmo. He says, love to find your show again. Former listener from the AM days. Your insight is great. I would like to see Tua with a better O-line and offensive personnel. Not certain Watson is the way to go for a variety of reasons. Unfortunately, once again, it's on to next year. Yes, it is. Mark Jean Baptiste, thank you, sir, for a little love on the Cash App, or on Venmo, actually, is where you sent it, my friend. Thank you. He says, I'm done with Coach Flo. Well, join the club. Join the club. All right. It is time now for, of course, the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report with Omar Kelly. For over 16 years, EJDconstruction.com has provided South Florida residents quality craftsmanship, accurate project management, and exceptional service. That's why EJDconstruction.com is an A-rated member of Angie's List and the Better Business Bureau. When you're looking for the right custom home builder for additions or home remodeling, please call my friend Eric at 305-433-4843. That's 305-433-4843 for EJDconstruction.com.
The viewpoint statements or beliefs expressed on the following program by the host, guests, or callers are not necessarily the opinions of FantasyXS.com, Media Group Inc. ownership, management, sponsors, or website. The Big O Radio Show is home for the hardcore Dolphins fan. That's why we give you Omar Kelly twice a week. Buckle up. It's time for the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report, exclusively on the Big O Radio Show.
All righty, there we go. By the way, the Texans are actually leading the Niners 7-3 at halftime. So at least all of it is not a disaster today. Maybe the pick will get a little better for the Miami Dolphins, and the Niners won't win today. All right, let's bring him aboard. Omar Kelly on Twitter at Omar Kelly. He's a must follow. More importantly, subscribe to the South Florida Sports Channel and support guys like Omar Kelly and all the great men and women who cover South Florida. There you go. Oh, how you feeling?
I'm good. How are you?
Well, I'm obviously not good with this stinking loss. I mean, it was just a pathetic loss in every level.
I mean, not
Coaching,
necessarily.
defense, Tua was terrible. Defense,
You got
embarrassing.
outclassed. You got outclassed.
rolled over. Yeah. You
I
know,
mean,
Go ahead.
there's
Go ahead.
there's a difference in terms of performance and execution that you see from the playoff caliber teams, the teams that have been there, done that. The Buffalo Bills, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Tennessee Titans. There's a different level of physicality that those teams have that you just haven't been able to show up for those games. And
How about intelligence? How about intelligence, Omar? Because they had third and short or third and manageable a lot for Ryan, and for Tua it was third and long all the time, 3rd and 9, 3rd and 10, and they did a good job of making sure that the passes that they needed from Ryan weren't going to be difficult ones. Yet they did not manage the game the same way on the Miami side, and even when Duke had some success early, they didn't stick with it at all. They didn't bother to say, hey, maybe we got something with Duke here. They just didn't keep going.
I don't know if that's fair because Duke only had two, I believe they were both 16 12-yard runs, and that created first. That created first downs. Really, the issue to me was the third, and we didn't see any third and manageables. And, that's a byproduct of a lot of things. But Tua is a better quarterback. One, when he has a lead, and two, when he's got third and manageables. Now, they were three of, Tua pointed out, my first three drives, I was 3 and 9, 3 and 11, 3 and 9, so, 3 of 12 today on third downs. You in a dream world, let's say the situations were reversed, the roles were reversed. Tennessee ran the ball efficiently, effectively, 40 attempts. Now, a lot of those are in the late game, but hell, they nearly had 100 yards in the first half. They had 84 on 19 carries.
Yeah. The Foreman stuff is not late game stuff. The Foreman yards were your ass. It's the Hilliard stuff. I don't care about that. The 132 yards that Foreman got, those were I spooked you and I ran right over your ass.
Yeah, and then on top of that, Tannehill, we could say whatever we want about him, and we had this debate and discussion and argued over it last week, but he's not really a quarterback on one blitz on a heavy amount of times. And they had a great game plan which we have not seen from an opponent facing Miami's Amoeba blitz. They threw screens into it. They moved the pocket on it. And we haven't seen, I couldn't tell you when I saw that approach. I've never seen that approach against this defense. And Miami just didn't figure it out yet. I mean, not that he only threw 18 passes, so it wasn't like he was doing a ton of throwing. But this is just something that Miami hadn't seen yet, and they didn't adjust quickly enough to it.
No, they definitely did not. What'd you think of the offensive play calling and stuff overall? Because I thought it was atrocious, and then you started with the trick plays and the desperation plays with Gesicki and even the Jabroni Brisket play. It actually ended up becoming a good throw, and you got saved by Bud Dupree. But again, it was just a terrible call. Kind of went your way. I mean,
I generally do not. I have a rule. I don't criticize play calling. That's just not something that I do because I don't know all the factors and variables. That's something that was taught to me by Bobby Bowden. But what I did find a little troubling is you knew it was likely going to rain all game. You knew it was likely going to rain, and the field was horrible, and it was going to be a slippery turf with rain. And what I found a little interesting, and I think I asked Gesicki this, is they didn't have a rain plan. They didn't have I would think, and this is just my thought process, that if you know going into a game, this is why you have all these experts and geniuses. If you know going into a game that it's going to be a wet ball game, a slick surface game, I would think I would have a game plan for troublesome footing plays. And I know it's only a limited amount of time during the week, and you're not even at the facility, and they're only practicing and whatever, whatnot. But I kind of have like 10 plays that I'd say, okay, these are my slick surface plays, and they didn't have that. And maybe other teams don't have that or don't go into the game plan thinking that, oh, the conditions in the field is going to be horrible. I need to change up my game plan and my approach. But you would see there was a clear period in the game where they changed up their approach because they realized the field is slick. We can't get movement on it, especially when it was raining.
Yeah, no, I'm with you, dude. Listen, there's no intelligence in the Dolphin coaching staff.
I don't know about that.
Listen, man, I get it.
I mean, they were geniuses during the 7-game winning streak, and now they're idiots. I don't fall into that.
I never called them geniuses.
I know you not. Yes.
I have been incredibly consistent. Okay.
Yes.
I'm not a flow guy, and I'm not an offensive staff guy. Okay. So for me, this is nothing new here. What I've been saying, flow's not.
Hold on. Let's get off the offensive staff because the play callers didn't drop the ball 3 times. That wasn't on them. That's on Tua.
Tua has no excuses today, bro. Tua, I'm not giving Tua any breaks whatsoever today. He was just as bad as his coaches.
Yeah, and to be honest, and I don't know if you can see this from the TV copy, but I'm here at the stadium, and a lot of the pressures and a lot of the sacks, nobody's open. No, nobody.
Yeah, they get no separation. Yeah, no, you're right.
Nobody's open. Everybody's covered. They had a great game plan for Jalen Waddle. Took him out of the game. What would Waddle have? Three receptions. Now the record is.
But eventually that was going to happen, right? Somebody was going to figure out a way to take his ass out of the game. They saw what happened the week before when he was out, how it took the offense out of its form, and so they said we got to do the same thing this week and take him out of the game and force him to hit other people. You know what I mean? And he did get some separation downfield for that one pass. You know what I'm saying? It's just he's the only one on that receiving core. That receiving core, that's the other thing that needs to get drastically upgraded next year with they got Waddle. Now they got to find another guy or two with some speed. List
of things that need to be addressed in one off season. It's a lengthy list for a team that's 8 wins. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
So why is it that when you look at right now the team overall, you tell me, why would I bring back Flo? He can't build an offensive staff. Why would I bring him back?
One, you don't know that. He built an offensive staff last year and then fired it. So
again, you need to dig a little bit more. The front office helped him bring Gailey over.
Oh my God!
He's scared of.
We're not doing this, Chico. We're not doing this. We're not. We're just not. We're not. We're not. We're not. We're not. We're not. We're not. You know who I give responsibility, credit, and criticism for a coaching staff? Brian Flores. You know who I give responsibility, criticism for decisions made in free agency in the draft? Chris Griff. You know why? I delineate them and separate them and give responsibility, credit, praise, criticism to them in their different facets, because that's what they're responsible for. And what you want to do is you want to mix it up, and when it's good, it goes one way, and what's bad, it goes another way. And
wait a minute. No. Hold on a second. You can't say that, and then you can't let me rebuttal. So you think Jacoby Brissett is here because Greer signed him and Greer wanted him? Come on.
I think decisions are made jointly, and who has the final say in them? It's Chris Greer. And on top of that,
you got your dancing shoes on.
On top of that, You know who would name me another backup quarterback that would have come here and signed here
Well, they had a
for
guy.
that money.
His name was Fitzpatrick. They had him here.
And he made $10 million and was given the starting job for the Washington football team. So he wasn't on the table.
I know, but you actually had a competent one. I
No,
don't know.
no,
who
no,
else
no.
could have done,
Okay.
but anybody's better than Jabroni Brissett. Come on, bro. Come on.
I'm not going to argue that, but I'm not going to allow you to put that on Brian Flores. Just like I'm not going to allow you to
You don't
put
think
that.
Kyle Malloy was here for him? You don't think that Justin Coleman's here for him? You don't
It's
think
a
that
factor.
former
It's
Patriots are-
a factor. But
so you didn't think Adam Gase wasn't a general manager, yet he was bringing his former players in too. So there's
that's what coaches do. And you know what Chris Greer will tell you his job is? His job is to give my coach the players that he feels fits his system best so that he can have the tools that he needs to win. That's Chris Greer from his mouth. From his mouth. Now, do I agree and believe in his approach and being a GM, the HNIC in charge of the organization? No, I do not. But I know that he thinks that that is what his job is. And mind you, he's worked for the Dolphins for 20 goddamn years, and he's seen it done by the Bill Parcells, by the Jeff Irelands, by the Dennis Hickey, who almost fired him, by the way, or who wanted to fire him and was talked out of it, and by Mike Tannenbaum. So he has seen the job. If this is the way that he wants to do the job, who the hell am I to say you're wrong for it?
Okay. All right. So you wouldn't make
I don't
a change.
agree. I don't agree with it.
You wouldn't make a change at coaching at the end of the year. You think that
Hell no. Hell no. Coach, before
you think Flo can find the offensive staff he needs?
I don't know that. I don't know that. I'm not willing to say that. I'm not even sure he'll make changes. Now, if he doesn't change the offensive line coach, oh yeah, you're gonna be fired soon.
Have you asked inside that building about him?
Who? The offensive line coach?
Yeah, about Pepe Le Pew.
You just wanted to call him Pepe Le Pew.
I mean, but have you asked him? No, because seriously, if you know a couple people in the building, you will get entertaining, responses about him. I'm just saying,
Listen,
ask.
I don't ask about dead men walking. I like, at a certain point, and I'm not even blaming all of that on him. I'm not. I can't. It's it is what it is. It's a trash dumpster.
No, but you're 1,000% right. We really can't blame Jean-Pierre, or whatever his name is. We really can't blame him.
Jean-Pierre.
Right. We really can't blame him because it's not his fault that he wasn't ready for this job. It's really more Flores' fault for It's like the Ted Ginn.
That's fair. That's fair.
It's like Ted Ginn. Ted Ginn had a hell of a career in the NFL. Now, it's not his fault that the Dolphins thought he was the number 9 overall pick in the draft. That's the Dolphins' fault. But Ted Ginn was a good player in the NFL for a long time. Wasn't a great player or anything, but he had a really good career. Any of us would love to have the Ted Ginn career.
He had a good career for a first-round pick. I don't see why he couldn't have played with Brandon Marshall. I still say that.
First-round pick, you're right. Maybe a late first-round pick. He might have almost justified a late first-round pick.
He outlasted Nolan Carroll, who was the player that they got when they traded him away to the San Francisco 49ers. Ted Ginn had a longer career than the player that you got the draft pick for, who was a pretty good player as well.
Yeah, he was a good player and a hell of a human being, too. Nolan Carroll
still is. Still a good dude.
Yeah, no, I know. But a really good dude from what I remember. But, overall, I can't blame the offensive line coach because he's going to take the job. I mean, he's got to take the job, but
it was a promotion. And you know what? They felt like he was ready. I don't know where it failed. I can't answer you where that failed. But what I can tell you is that and this is to answer your question on why Flo can't be fired and won't be fired, and you're just barking up the wrong tree. Every area in this team has been fixed or is being fixed by Flores and his staff, with the exception of the offensive line.
or the offense. The offense is
I mean,
not good. They don't have good offensive coordinators.
name me 5 good players on the offense. Name 5.
That doesn't matter. I watched Changeli with little offense back.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. That's fair.
I'm not talking
But
about this No. I'm not talking about this Changeli. I'm talking about the first go around with Changeli. Okay?
that's fair. That's fair. It's fair.
Freddie something was like their number 1 receiver. He wasn't. I mean, a really great guy, by the way. Super funny as hell on Fridays. But he wasn't like, they didn't have a great receiving core. He worked magic with that offense at times.
Absolutely. No question about it. But I argue to you. I'm not arguing your point. You make a very valid point. It's true. It's fair. Even last year, I would say they have better weaponry this year than they have last year.
Yes.
To finish the season, and he made it work. But I will argue to you, there are 5 guys on this offense that would start right now for the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Yeah, I see what you're saying. No, you're right. You're right. There are very few guys that you would use in other teams.
5 like our starting running back here got waived by Jacksonville or Carolina. I think Miami, Carolina.
Yeah, if you have a good running back core, all the running backs here are number 3s.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
Yeah.
Basically. So yeah, no, you're right. You're right. Gesicki, Waddle are obviously guys that can play on most offenses. But yeah, there aren't a lot of those.
You know I'm gonna argue the Gesicki one, depending on what team you're. Tennessee is interested, by the way, so that might be where he ends up. Reunion with Tannehill.
They're probably a lot smarter than these idiots that they take them off the field and they don't know how to use. You know, it's
you can't play. You can't play in the RPO, bro.
Yeah, but you don't run.
You can't play in the RPO.
You can't run, so who cares?
You do want run, and you should try to run.
Okay, well, no. That's not what you said in this game here. No. When I told you Duke Johnson had some success, you said no.
No. Duke Johnson averaged 7 yards a carry. They ran the ball 4.6. It was the deficit that prevented them from running. Let's not go there.
No. Early on, they gave up on him. They didn't give it to him. They didn't keep giving it to him. So
You're right. But the conditions and the elements and the score and tons of factors.
But those factors are perfect for him. The rain, the wind, all that kind of stuff. That's why you want to run. Look, dude, I'm the guy that
14-point deficit in the third quarter.
I'm the guy that doesn't believe Duke is an every down running back. And yet 2 weeks ago, he got 100 yards. And early in this game, it was like, well, maybe he can do it again. I'm like, well, hey, I would love to be wrong again. And I didn't.
And they have 4 carries. They have 4 carries in the second half. So,
but second half, it's 17-3 at halftime. It's still not completely out of control.
Yeah. But it is what it is. It's Tannehill. Tannehill is your dad. That's just all it is.
Yep, that's it. Tannehill is Miami's daddy. You're right about that. There's no other way of phrasing it. That's for damn sure. All right, follow him on Twitter at Omar Kelly. What are you working on the Sun Sentinel so folks can check you out?
Trying to explain to the people why Miami couldn't pressure the most sacked quarterback in NFL history.
Okay.
Not NFL history, but
Why'd you think they played so much zone today?
I don't know if it was a zone. I mean, they switched up man and zone.
They didn't blitz like they normally do.
No, they didn't because they were playing behind the sticks and down the distance. Their goal with that is to try to get them into 3rd and 8s or above, and then they bring that amoeba. But even when they did the amoeba, Miami threw a screen in it, or Miami threw a screen in it. Tannehill picked it up one time and threw a slant with an uncovered AJ Brown.
They also got a sack on one of
them. They got one sack.
Yeah, Butler blitzed and then he dropped back right away. It was they had 5 guys and they sent Baker as the 5th guy, but then Butler dropped back.
But when they're generally blitzing and having success, they're sending 7 guys. And 4 or 5 guys are covering. That you couldn't do that against Tannehill. Tannehill would carve you to death because he's going to identify his hots.
I would have rather died that way than die a slow kill. That this one was more painful, actually. I'd rather die the other way because I think you can at least have a chance at forcing him into mistakes. And
With Tannehill throwing for 300 yards, nah, you can't take that.
I don't know. That's the thing. I would have liked to take that chance. That's the thing. All right, you're awesome as always. Did you have a good New Year's?
Oh yeah, I was home. I was home safe.
Nothing better than that, dude. Nothing better than
Yeah,
that.
man.
All right. Follow him on Twitter at Omar Kelly, and catch him tomorrow morning, getting it done at 10:30. All right,
I got a flight that time, so.
All right, so we'll catch you in the afternoon. Don't worry about it.
All right, man. I'll let you.
All right, be good. There you go. It's digital. We adjust on digital. That's the beauty. All right, let's take a. Oh no, it's not a break. It's just telling you this is the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report.
You've been listening to the EJDconstruction.com Miami Dolphins report with Omar Kelly. For additions, home remodeling, or custom work, call Eric at 305-433-4843. EJDconstruction.com is the custom home builder and general contractor you can trust. 305-433-4843.
Expected the response I got from most of the writers. Because usually most people aren't nearly as bold as usually I am. I'm the guy that when you hire Joe Philbin, I'll tell you he's a disaster and it was a terrible hire. And so I'll go against the grain with everybody from day one, and I was right 5 years later, even after they extended him. You know what I mean? I'm the guy that after Manny Diaz, I give up right away, and I told you he's done. That's not the guy. I'm the guy that said they need to fire Dale Talon. Not anybody on the beat, not anybody in radio, not anybody in television, not anybody in the Panthers had the balls to say, we need to fire Dale Talon. But eventually it happens. Adam Gase, same thing after a year. I said, you got to fire this guy. He's got to go. They kept him around a couple more years. So it's all good, man. It's all good. I'm used to taking the heat. You know what I mean? I'm used to being that guy that's on the island for a while, and then eventually people all join me on the island, and then they say, yeah, you know, you pissed me off with that, but you were right. And there's a lot of Dolphin fans over the years that will say the same thing and say, you pissed me off when you were telling me this, but it was the right thing. Brian Flores needs to get fired. When New England's game ends next week, you need to bring him in on Monday. And on that Monday where everybody, you know, gets that cut, you need to make that cut with Brian Flores. And whether it's Caldwell, whether it's whatever, Jack Del Rio, whatever it is, go get yourself an old grizzled coach that can go out and get yourself a complete coaching staff. Okay? That's what you need. You need a coach that can get a coaching staff and replace a coaching staff on a consistent basis. That's the problem right now for this team. And it's all good, man. I can take the heat. I've taken it before. I'm not worried about it. I get people that, oh, you're crazy. You don't know what you're talking about, all that. And so I'm kind of used to it, man, because it's always been like that with me for years. For 3 decades doing radio here in this town, it's always been like that for me, okay? I'm not perfect. I'm the first guy to tell you I'm not perfect. But when it comes to the Fins, more often than not, I'm usually on target. And Flores is not the right coach. And he proves it all the time in many, many, many ways. On the field, coaching staff, off the field. So the Dolphins, and I would suggest to Chris Greer now, you need to make a change at the end of the year. If you don't make a change, then Flores will cost everyone their jobs. That's what will end up happening. We will see what happens this offseason with the Miami Dolphins. Okay? We shall see. Victor Huerta says, can't see you, Big O. I'm sorry. I don't know. What is it? The camera's, it says on, but it froze? Okay. But they hear the audio. They just can't see the video. Well, but, you know, that's actually a good thing if you can't see my face. I mean, Victor, thank you for the love on this super chat, by the way. Very nice of you. Very nice. But it's actually good, man. It's a good thing that you don't see me. You know what I'm saying? It's not a bad thing. So, what can I tell you? But it's frustrating. Listen, I'm a lifelong Dolphin fan, like a lot of you out there. I want to see the team do really well, but I just unfortunately don't see them turning that corner with this guy. And as I tweeted out earlier in the week, this is nothing new that the Miami Dolphins have done over the years. A lot of you out there don't realize it, but you think, oh, this 7-game winning streak, oh my God, it's amazing. It's fantastic. It means you've got the right coach, and he's kept, the BS that they feed you. Oh, he's kept everybody together. Flo has kept everybody together. He has righted the ship. That because that's what Flo does. He righted the ship here. And see, the problem is that you don't have perspective and you don't look at it for what it is. And this has been done before. This is not the first time that they've done stuff like this. What's it called? Tony Sperano did it after a slow start. Adam Gase did it after a slow start. None of this is new. And that's the problem, that we get caught up, prisoners of the moment. And all of a sudden you start thinking that, wait a minute, what Flo is doing is just absolutely incredible. It means that he's got to be the coach. And no, it's just players overcoming crappy coaching. And that's what happens sometimes. And that's what's happening in this case. It's just players following up on crappy coaching and doing their best to kind of overcome the crappiness of the coaching. That's it. Nothing more, nothing less. It's nothing new here. And I don't know why people keep making it something that it isn't. 7 games you won on teams that were crap, and you're good enough to beat those teams. You're just not good enough to beat the playoff teams. And that's the problem. So you got New Orleans in a bad moment. You got Baltimore also in a bad moment, and you took advantage of it, and God bless you for that. But it doesn't make you a good team at all. In any way, shape, or form, it doesn't make you a good team. And it certainly doesn't make Brian Flores a good coach. He's far from being a good coach. That's the part that's absolutely asinine if anybody thinks that this guy right now is a good coach. Tua didn't win us any games this year. It's been the defense. That's right. Tua doesn't win anything, bro. Tua is better than mediocre, you're all. Yeah, he's slightly better than mediocre. Tua's garbage. Just throw him away, change him for Cleo Lemon and all that. I get it, bro. Prisoners of the moment, so we get all this crap. And then when he plays well, they disappear for weeks and they don't follow it up. I get it, man. I get all of that. Danny says, Big O, do you know the reason Doug Peterson has not been a head coach since Philly let him go? Think he'd do a good job for us? Because he lost his locker room. I don't know if you know that, but he lost his locker room. And so maybe they haven't hired him because they don't think that he can actually manage a group of men. So maybe that's why Doug Peterson hasn't gotten another shot. Maybe somebody will give him a shot. But right now, I think Doug Peterson's going to have to take an offensive coordinator position with somebody, not a head coaching job. And that's where he's going to have to live for a little bit. Take a step back, become an offensive coordinator. If you can have success there, then maybe they could give you another shot at being a head coach. But right now, he's probably going to have to take a step back in that sense. Let's see. What else do we have here? Michael Freeman says, Tua honestly looks like he's completely fed up with moronic questions from these reporters. I won't be surprised if he's not back next year because he doesn't want to return to this Miami clownfish. All right. And then Legend says, Big O, why should we listen to you when you think Tua is elite? I wonder when I said elite. See, that's also the problem in this world. You have idiots. This is why Facebook is so big. because one moron will post something on Facebook and another moron picks it up and takes it as news and a fact and then runs with it, right? And then, Legend, do me a favor, bro. Please find the audio where I said Tua's elite. I would love to hear that. I would love to hear that. You know what I mean? Better yet, listen, Legend, since I didn't say that and all you want to do is make up stuff I said, do me a favor, bro. Don't ever listen again. In fact, here we go. Now you won't even be able to comment anymore, Legend. See? So if you're going to throw inaccurate stuff out there, now I'm going to block you for inaccurate stuff. Because I never said the guy was elite. I just said I believe in the kid. And I think you can win with him and you can build around him. That's it. That's all I've ever said. Never said at any point he was elite. But that's the problem in this world. There's so many of you that get one lie and make it into another lie and another lie. Hey, what happened to Waddle? I thought the offensive coordinators were so creative in getting Waddle involved. I thought I heard that this week like 3 or 4 times from some sheep. And I finally pointed it out, right, on Thursday or Friday on the show, that, you know, it's just a bunch of you are just sheep. You just repeat what someone else says, even though it's inaccurate. You will then continue to repeat it. It's freaking amazing. I mean, they are so creative, right? Well, why didn't Waddle catch the ball 10 times? I thought the offensive coordinators were so creative. I thought some of you kept repeating what everybody else says instead of thinking for yourselves. On this show, we think for ourselves. We don't follow the sheep. Ross Romero says, Big O is lying. You said Tua's Montana. Tua's Breeze. Those two are elite. Yeah, I said they were exactly like him. That's exactly how I phrased it. Exactly. Go check it out. Go check it out. Go check it out that I said that. Or maybe I said he has the same kind of arm those guys had. Maybe that's what I said, but, you know. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on a second. That's right. Well, let's actually get consistent on this. Actually, since you lied, now this is what you get. When you lie, now you know what you're going to get. Okay? Montana and Breeze weren't elite in their second year. Whoa, Breeze was an elite to like year 4 or 5, I think it was. So, you know, whatever, man. LuTube says, win against Jags and Falcons, and we wouldn't be in this position. It doesn't really matter because you see what they are anyway. This is actually, while it's terrible to lose, the only good thing is that it might bring some people to the realization that you don't have the right coach in place. And I think this did it for some of you out there, that you'll notice and you'll realize that Flo's not the answer, and Flo doesn't know how to set his team up week in and week out. So that's really the problem here. I'd be shocked if Watson and Flo are not here next year and he wants to play for Flo. Well, we will see, Andy. We will see. Montego says, I agree with you 100% regarding the offensive coaching staff. It's awful, and Flo can't hire quality staff, then he needs to go. Well, but a lot of you out there want to keep Flo, even though he can't hire a staff. That's why I loved bringing on the writers today and ask him that, because I knew that they would agree that the staff is terrible. But then when I say you got to fire him, it's like, yeah, they're not ready to write that. They're not ready to go on record for that. You know what I mean? Because they're not ready to take on the heat that comes with that. Me, I don't care. That's the difference. I've never cared. I don't worry about what the Dolphins or the Heat or the Marlins or the Panthers or the Canes or Inter Miami think. I'm going to say what I feel and what I see. I'm not worried about anything else. You know, the Texans won 4 games with Watson last year and 4 games with a no-name QB and a worse team this year. It's not that Watson is overrated, Rage, and let's not go that way. Watson's a hell of a player. But if you have a bad team, a great quarterback is not going to lift a bad team. A great quarterback will just be part of a bad team. That's all it is. You're never going to get anywhere with just a great quarterback. This isn't college basketball, dude. You know, where Carmelo Anthony can carry you to the title and Danny Manning can carry you to the title. And, you know, one college player can make the whole difference almost to a title. You know what I mean? That's not football. It's never been that way. And it doesn't exist where you're a great quarterback and everybody around you is crappy and your coaches are crappy and you're carrying them to a Super Bowl. That doesn't happen, man. You need help. That's why Marino barely won a lot in the playoffs. He just couldn't win a ton in the playoffs because his team was never good enough. He didn't have the running game, he didn't have the defense. And Marino is a monster player. But he needs help too. Everyone needs help. And right now, what's proven on a consistent basis, did the special teams get better? No. Is the offense better? No. So if Flo can't build better staffs, then what do you need them for? Just ask yourself that question. If Flo cannot build a staff, what do you need him for then? Because you do know that the head coach is there not to necessarily coach the players, but to manage the game and manage the team. It's his coaches that coach the players. He's supposed to have an offensive coordinator handling the offense, and the quarterback's handling the quarterbacks, and the linebackers handling the linebackers, and the D coordinator handling the D. That's how it's supposed to be. And then you're supposed to overlook everything and delegate. You're not there to try to run the defense by grabbing the defensive play card because you hired a defensive coordinator that can't do the job. And don't kid yourselves. He's walking around the play card because he is micromanaging everything that they do. And that's your fault because you didn't hire the right coaches. Because you can't. Philbin had the same problem. You cannot grab a coach that has been stuck on one team his whole career because he doesn't know anybody around the league. And that's what happened to Philbin. And this is what's happening to Flo. They have no connections. They have no Rolodex. Yeah. People seem to forget that we were 1-7. It's almost impossible to come back and win 10 straight and no changes from the 1-7. Oh, they were trying to win 9 straight to get into the playoffs. Not 10, 9. And that's pretty hard to do. You know what I mean? We need a new QB. We are tired of being patient. A QB that's only played one season. Oh, man. It's awesome. Mo Azizi says, quit blaming Flo. This is on Tua. Now, you're right, bro. It's all on Tua. Tua hired all the coaching staff, and, yeah, he's coaching up that offensive line. Or actually, Tua's doing a piss-poor job of coaching that offensive line. You're right, bro. And, you know, when Tua called that play, you know, that was a double reverse and the flea flickers and all that, those were terrible calls. All on Tua, bro. It's all on Tua. And, you know, Tua couldn't tackle today. I mean, Foreman ran all over Tua in that defense for 132 yards. You're right, bro. It's all on Tua, man. Everything's on Tua. In fact, I think they didn't have snacks on the plane on the way to Tennessee. Tua. His fault. You know, he could have called Little Debbie, right? Could have had Saban put in a call for Little Debbie and have some Little Debbie cookies for everybody there. And Tua did not do that. He could have called the coach. Coach could have helped out with some Little Debbies. No, you're right. You're right. It's all Tua's fault, man. Everything is Tua's fault, man. The kicker hitting it off the crossbar, Tua's fault. Holding by Austin Jackson, Tua's fault. All of it, bro. All of it. Gesicki just kicking the ball up for an interception, Tua's fault. Everything, bro. Everything is Tua's fault. Yep, not challenging, Tua's fault. Everything. So there you go. So now we know Tua is to blame. We've all come to that realization, right? It's all over but the shouting. It's Tua, and that's it. It's a beautiful thing. We love you, Tua. We love to blame you. It's all on you, kid. You're a disaster. Everything. It's your fault, dude. All right, I think we are going to wrap it up here on the show. We thank Dudley Durong. We thank Lee Sterling. We thank Joe Shad. We thank Omar Kelly. We thank Cameron Wolf. We thank Alan Poupar for joining us on the pre- and post-game shows. We'll be back next week here to wrap up the season against the New England Patriots. We thank, of course, the man, the myth, the legend that is Sean Stanley, putting it all together. He is absolutely amazing. I thank all of you out there. All of us thank every one of you for listening, for tuning in, for supporting the show. We appreciate you all out there. We'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place, same bat channel. Have a great one.
This is the Big O Show.
Sports fans love a place with great food, cold drinks, and TVs everywhere. That's why sports fans love Sports Grill and their 7 amazing locations. Check out the Bird Road location at 11481 Southwest 40th Street in the back corner of the West Bird Shopping Center. Sports Grill is also now offering some great employment opportunities. All kinds of positions are now available from kitchen to hosting. Call for more information at 305-485-8845. From wraps to salads to amazingly delicious specialty dishes, Sports Grill is the home to the legendary special grilled wings. Since 1987, Sports Grill, good food, good drink, and good friends.
It's the Big O Show.